All right, so here's a little foam rolling or self-myofascial release overview. Real quick, a little bit about foam rolling, or about foam rollers, I should say, and how to select your options. So you never want it to be painful, but if, it should be a little uncomfortable. You should feel the pressure. And so when selecting a foam roller, sometimes it's helpful to have a couple of options on hand. The softer the roller, the more pliable the roller, obviously, the less pressure you're going to experience. The more dense the foam roller, the more pressure you're going to experience. Right, the harder it's going to be, the more painful, uncomfortable it's going to be. Also, bear in mind the smaller the surface area, the more impact it's going to have. Right, so if we want to increase the pressure, we find something that has smaller surface area versus a larger surface area. The more it's going to dissipate that pressure, so the easier it's going to be. Something to bear in mind. This is just a general overview. We're going to hit kind of your main muscle groups, you could say. So I like to start off getting the glutes, hips. We're going to sit on the foam roller, lean back, hands back. Make sure you're not touching. You don't put your hands on the foam roller, right? You're going to run the risk of falling off and maybe even possibly hurting your wrist or so forth. So make sure when you go to sit on this thing, the hands go on the floor, right? And if you need to, you can always kind of elevate yourself. The other option is you can't really see it. You can kind of see it in the background over there. You can use a TRX or something to hold on to give you some support. Maybe I'll show you that in just a second. But you can hold on to it to give you some support. So that's an option. So here we are, hands on the floor. We're going to ankle over knee. We're going to drop that knee out to the side and just get into that glute. So just think no more than like 20 to 30 seconds. Roll on it. See if you can locate some tender spots. Once you find a tender spot, oscillate on there for a little bit. You can even move side to side. But you're just trying to oscillate. You're not trying to fix anything. All you're trying to do is just soften that tissue a little bit. So here we go, glutes. Then we're going to straighten that leg. We're going to take this leg over the top. We're going to roll to the side. And I'm going to get more of that hip flexor, TFL, the outside of that hip. Usually there's some tender spots here. Then I'm going to go a little bit lower and get about midway down on the kind of where the TFL and IT band inserts into the IT band. All right. So then I'm going to hit my quad. And if it's a pretty soft foam roller, I'll stay with one side or one thigh on that foam roller. If it's a pretty intense or pretty dense foam roller, maybe I'm going to put both thighs on it and play around, right? If you turn the feet out, you can get more of the inside or the your medialis, those muscles. If you go more on the outside, you're going to get more of the vastus lateralis. So you have different muscle groups, different parts of the thigh that you can target. Again, usually there's some tender spots towards the knee, a little more towards the belly of the muscle. And then there's usually tender spots up towards the hip, a little higher up as well. So kind of play around. You want to see if you can get all those areas. Then we're going to work around towards the other side. So I'm going to go back to my hip. Maybe I'll start back a little lower. IT band, TFL. Right, then I'm going to get up a little bit higher in the lateral aspect of that hip. And then again, I'll roll to the other side. Now I'm going to get my opposite glute. And again, what I like to do here, drop that knee to the side, really get the outside or get that hip, expose that cheek, get that glute. So once I hit that, I'm going to drop on down and get those lats, right? Get the mid back. You can place a hand on the head. Just be gentle with this. Typically, you don't want to have too much pressure on your low back where there's no structural support there. If you're pretty strong and you got plenty of support back there and it's a pretty light foam roller, then go for it. But especially if you're new to this, you probably want, and the foam roller is fairly dense, you probably want to avoid that low back. But just kind of get in there, kind of envision like a bear scratching his back on a tree. And then we'll get more of I like to get in between the shoulder blades. Here you can kind of hug yourself. Just get in that spot. So there you go. Now, if you want to get your calves with a foam roller. What you can do, and if as long as you don't mind feeling that pressure on your wrist or your shoulders, right? Let me come over right here. Again, same thing here. Play around with the angle of the foot to target that musculature. Usually, again, there's a spot more towards the belly of the muscle, higher up, and then there's usually spots a little bit lower down, right? So you can kind of work in there a little bit. For me, that's mostly what I target when it comes to foam rolling. Now, there's a couple of different modalities you can use, like, God, I should have brought it over, but you get like a little rolling pin. You can get some of the tibialis or some of these lower leg muscles, peroneals and so forth around through here. But that's your general foam rolling, right? Start with the glute, sit on it, the glute, hit the outside of the hip, hit the thigh, come back around to the other side, outside the hip, glute, roll your back, roll your calves. There you go, good pal. Hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment or reach out. Aloha.